of Dominaria Limited here at Grand Prix Las Vegas. I'm Rich Hagan alongside the man, the myth, the legend, Tom Martell, Austin Mary on the left, Michael Burnett on the right, the second seed. We begin with the Swamp, and I'm 1 for 1 on card recognition.
It's a little bit easier in this format. These cards are a little more noticeable than some of the obscure beta cards we saw, but Michael's going to be developing his mana here. Pretty straightforward.
So we talked a bit about Michael Burnett with his Esper mana base, pretty even 7-5-5 split functionally, plus a couple of skittering surveyors. Austin Mary, meanwhile, opening up with Island and Mountain, and good choice of both, may I say. Let's see what he's about.
Yeah, so he's on a blue-red Wizards deck that looks extremely powerful. Lots of tempo plays, multiple copies of Academy Journey Mage, multiple copies of Blink of an Eye, 3 Gitu Chroniclers to get it all back. Just really, really powerful red-blue deck.
Well, that was going to be Pizza Girl, but Pizza Girl got no-sirred by Syncopate, although probably not no-sirred, more no-maddamed, I suppose. So that is a clear board still, so Michael's first card is just a no from Syncopate. And now here's Rafcabation.
That is probably one of the best things that Michael can do on this open board. I was a little bit worried for him because he didn't play one of his gliders on turn 3 or on turn 4, but that Flash Flyer is just so powerful.
Are you a glider fan in general too on fly, can't block?
Not a huge fan. I tended to try to draft these grindier, more controlling decks in this format, and so the decks that I'm drafting don't really want that card, but it's great in this 3-color tempo-based Historic Cards Matter deck that Michael has here.
Are you a divination merchant?
I do enjoy a divination.
Yeah. Don't we all? Don't we all? The official sort of control club here for you.
But yeah, so Raph gets in here for 3. Austin, it looks like he has a blink of the eye in his hand, not choosing to fire it off on the flash creature. Just takes the damage there. Hopefully he can develop his board here. Looks like there's a couple lands. Looks like some spells. Maybe those are.
Yeah, he's passing with 6 cards up.
And now we see one of the really powerful effects with Raph is you can flash your other historic cards. And Michael has, I think, maybe 10 plus historic cards in his deck. He has a ton. Raph is going to do so much work for him. Ooh, okay, there we go. That's why Austin passed it back. He's just going to kick a Shivan Fire there and take the Raph off the board.
Right, but Arvad the Cursed is still in business for Michael Burnett, who's got the early advantage here. I can tell you that you will not miss a turn of Luis Scott Vargas versus Martin User. We will record that for you from the get-go, and at the conclusion of the finals, I promise you, you will see every turn of LSV versus Martin User. So don't worry, beta fans, we have your back.
Michael just getting in there with Arvad, making it impossible for Austin to race. Ooh, wow. And then he has the Rona there, which is going to imprint Raph, giving him a buyback on his, kind of probably the best card in his deck out of this 3/3 Flash Flyer. So Michael had the commanding lead here early. Austin just taking a chance to make sure he knows all the abilities of Rona, kind of how it works. Maybe checking to see what happens if he removes it. Because one interesting thing to note here is if he bounces the Rona, the Raph, if it remains exiled, which I believe that it does, he will not be able to get it back. Replaying the Rona won't be able to play a card that was removed with a previous iteration of the card in play. So he actually does have an answer preemptively for this Raph with that Blink of an Eye in his hand. I imagine that's what he's asking the judge right now.
All right, so Michael Burnett at 23, Austin Mary at 14 with Acres of Spells, and he's off. Wait. Come back. Look, it's Vegas. Nothing shuts. Don't worry.
It's a complicated interaction. You want to make sure that you understand that what happens when this thing gets bounced. Is that Raph really gone? Because that Raph is kind of the linchpin for Michael's strategy so far. And here, Austin gets his answer, comes back, tosses the Rona back on the board. He's pretty confident in the play here. I believe, if I remember correctly, with how Magic works, that bouncing Rona will, in fact, permanently deal with Raph. But I imagine he's going to snap off a bounce effect right here. There's one right there. Yep, Gitu. Academy Journey Mage, bouncing Rona, permanently handling Raph, putting Austin back in this game. Really, this is a huge turn for him.
I was about to say such a fun card, Academy Journey Mage, but I'm not sure that's strictly true.
Fun for one player, usually.
Yeah.
And here, so interesting decision here for Michael. A decision point. He decides to try to keep the pressure on, removes that blocker. Cashing in a removal spell on a relatively innocuous creature. The 3/2 body left behind by Journey Mage, not that threatening. But he wants to just keep getting in there with Arvad so he clears the grave. Makes total sense to me.
Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Might
Here
be
comes.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah, and if you're the opponent, you go, gross.
It's especially gross because it has +2/+2 from Arvad. This is a 6/5, which
See,
is a much better rate
no,
as a 6-mana flyer.
I would take a 6/5/5 for 6. Yeah.
And here we see a second copy of the Journey Mage. This is the struggle here for the tempo control of this game is really important for these two.
Because it's just coming back again, unless. Can you just imagine 6 mana again doesn't lay a 7th land syncopate for 1. That's what Academy Journey Mage was for.
And Austin is playing 1 copy of Syncopate.
Oh, go on.
But Michael did have the 7th land.
Okay. All right, that's that gone away. Boo.
So Austin is temporarily stabilized on the ground. Arvad is not going to trade with that Journey Mage, but how does he handle this kind of huge flyer in the air? And he drew a 4/4 flyer in a kicked Academy Drake, but that Urgos is too big now.
4/4, less than 6/5.
And so now he's going to face the decision of, am I going to let that thing hit me? Do I want to hold up my mana and just cast a Blink with the Eye on it? He decides to take a shot.
The trouble with Blink of an Eye is that, Austin Mary's just playing this tempo game from behind, and all he's doing is going, essentially, skip my turn, and then the board states back where it was. Skip my turn, board states back where it was. Yeah, sure, I've advanced with a 4/4, but I'm still being dominated by the 6/5. Bad spot for Austin Mary right now.
Yeah. And here we see the power of random discard, right? If this was just a normal discard, he could just discard that land in his hand and be fine, really. Just to untap and bounce that thing. But here, if it hits the bounce spell, he's in real trouble. And he did. Oh, that is not what he wanted to see.
Urgros once again, and Michael Burnett really closing in. A Caligo Skin Witch, away goes the last 2 cards.
I guess it didn't matter when he hit with the random discard.
No.
Austin's in real trouble here.
In fact, I'm going to go as far as functionally dead. Not literally functionally dead, I suppose.
Practically. I think you're basically
practically
right there.
Perfect in every way.
Yeah, without a legend in play, he doesn't even have something like a Jaya's
Immolating
Inferno. Thank you. Even that is not available as an out here.
Yep,
so
Inferno damage. That's how that would have worked.
Oh, wait, we're seeing mana tapped. What's happening here?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Ooh, wow.
Shivan Fire kicked. And that,
huge draw.
Because then it's a trade. 6/5 becomes 4/3, but gets in the way of a 4/4.
Wow, that was a huge draw for Austin.
Functionally not dead,
Functionally
apparently.
not dead. We don't. Oh, but does have the Rona still. That was bounced earlier to re-imprint the Urgros to put that back in play. Interesting, chooses Urgros instead of the Arvad, which makes sense. Having an evasive creature that's going to end the game really quickly, and there we go. We're off to game 2. That was really, really dominant from Michael, start to finish.
Do you know what else? That was really fast. And often, our viewers are disappointed by fast games. I am prepared to predict that right now people are going, yes, let's make it 2-0 and let's get down to the beta. But the good news is you're not missing a single turn of Luis Scott Vargas versus Martin User. We're recording that for you. They're in game 1 right now. And as soon as these two are done, you will see every turn of that semi-final. If Tim Rivera and John Holiday are still going in their semis, you'll see that. And the last match of Magic you'll see this weekend from GP Las Vegas across more than 36 hours of live coverage will be the final of the beta draft, and it will feature at least one Hall of Famer guaranteed.
It's going to be, just the pinnacle of the talent in this room. You don't get better than LSV and Juza in Limited. You just don't.
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure where Luis ranks in the all-time Limited rankings because he often goes against the grain, and he's someone who is more willing than most to think that 7, 8, and 58 mana are perfectly acceptable casting costs. And let's be honest, he owns more divinations than anyone on Earth from drafting online. But people forget how good he is at Limited, and arguably you've had 3 of, certainly the top 20 Limited players of all time in this draft.
Oh, sure.
Because Ben S. and Martin, you would say probably top 5 drafters all time, just historically, period.
Luis had a brief period, and by brief I mean maybe 5 years, where he got a little, attached to some 5/7s for 7 artifacts and some other dirtily clunky cards.
Might have done.
He has, I think, really shed that in recent years and doubled down and kind of returned back to the fabric of drafting. And this version of Luis is just one of the best. And in a format like Beta, where Luis has played with these cards a lot, more so than anyone else in this top 8, because Luis plays a lot of Vintage, he plays a lot of Old School.
Right.
He knows how these cards actually operate. There's a good chance he's drafted these sets before, right? I mean, I remember Luis and I were playing Magic back in 1999, 1998. These cards were still around back then.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
so
in people's binders at tournaments. You go, oh, I've got a spare one of those.
And you do a revised sealed, occasionally, and you get these formats where you have, low card density in terms of the threats, and you have a lot of basic lands. And so, I think it's his experience will certainly make up for any gap in skill that might exist between him and someone like Martin or Ben. But, in the meantime, we have something to get through first.
Yeah, it was interesting hearing this afternoon that both Martin User and Ben Stark were back in their hotel room together drafting simulations of Beta.
Yep.
They just wanted to get in because you can't do 50 Magic Online drafts. It turns out when you only qualify on Saturday night, you can't quite get ready. I thought what was actually really joyous about the Beta draft is it would have been very tempting to take it unbelievably seriously on the one hand of there are incredible prizes at stake here and wonderful cards to own forever and so on. But I think there was a huge respect also for the opportunity to play with history.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. I mean, there were some actual trembling hands. And I think one of the most heated discussions at the player meeting was, I appreciate you've given us all gloves. Is there any chance that one of you could lay out all the cards? Because we're just going to be physically trembling as we open these things. And that shows a real love and respect for the game, which I think is pretty fantastic as we get to the sharp end of trying to actually win the tournament that they qualified for. So I was super impressed with the way they kind of navigated that, trying to be super serious and super professional, but simultaneously acknowledge the opportunity that they'd won for themselves and
there won't be many more Beta drafts. At some point, the finite supply of these packs will run out. It will become even harder to make this happen.
Which means that Gen Con...
Ooh, good plug here.
Maybe you should go to Gen Con if you're free. Or you can watch all the excitement unfold at Pro Tour Minneapolis. We'll be there that same weekend. So there's a lot of Magic going on that weekend. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there is that diminishing vault of,
Sure.
Vault 102 at Gringotts or whatever it is, with that little miserable stack of gold in the corner. And, yep, we're running out. And so today was a very precious moment, a punctuation point in Magic history. It's pretty great.
And that realization set in for a lot of players here. I think you look at a lot of the pros were playing the Beta qualifiers instead of some of the GPs. This is a chance to be part of history. While winning a GP, it will be a crowning achievement for one of these two gentlemen that play in front of us. You don't get the chance to crack packs and see these Beta cards very often.
So we are gearing up for game number 2. Michael Bernat leads by 1-0, and you can see Austin Mary looking at his 7. He's decided to keep. He's going to be on the play. He is the tempo player, so that's a big deal for him. Michael Bernat is going to mulligan down to 6. Again, if you are just joining us, we are heading towards the semi-finals in the Beta. LSV versus Martin User being recorded right now. You will see that at the conclusion of the final here. And if Tim Rivera and John Holliday are still going in their semis, we'll see some of that live before watching the whole final live. We will not tell you what is going on in those right now because we certainly don't want to spoil that. We want you to watch LSV against Martin as live. So come on, Michael and Austin, we want to get this done and dusted so we can get to the end of our bonus coverage. And by my reckoning, it's probably going to be the best part of midnight. So if you've been with us through Friday and, 8 rounds of Modern on Friday and 10 rounds of Modern on Saturday and 9 rounds of Limited on Sunday, plus all the drafts we've shown you, plus the Beta draft, plus the coverage of the Beta. It's going to be a lot of tired coverage people on planes tomorrow, that's for sure.
I'm fresh. I didn't play much Magic this weekend. I lost all my events really quickly, so I have plenty of energy to carry this one as we watch these two try to take home this trophy.
All right, let's do it. Mountain from Austin Mary. Turn 1 for Michael Burnett, who mulliganed to 6. It's an island. Turn 2 for Mary. He will take a draw, as someone once said. And there is an island. On turn number 2, plains. That's 2/3 of the way towards Michael Burnett's Esper mana base. And Mary will go with turn number 3. He only had 2 colours, so that's fine. And it's Pizza Girl. And this time we're going to see a syncopate for 1. We are not. So Mary in action first.
This is huge for Austin's deck. As we talked about, this Tempo Wizards deck, lots of ways to interact with the board, lots of ways to bounce permanents. So just being first to the battlefield here is going to be really key for him.
I can assure all of you wondering what will happen if LSV loses his semi-final. He will get back in the booth for the final, let me assure you. If I have to drag him kicking and screaming, he'll be here on your screens to commentate the final, if he loses the semi to Martin. But we'll see how that pans out. See a Cloud Reader Sphinx on the right-hand side of Austin Mary's hand. So that's 1 mana away right now, and that would be a pretty significant threat.
I didn't see a 5th land in his hand. There may be one there. But now I think he's just trying to decide which of the different threats that he can play or deploy here on his Wizards. Should he land or should he try to play on a counterspell? And I like this.
Yeah.
Just
Rampaging Cyclops. There's a Gitu Chronicler in hand for him as well. Again, he's basically offering up everything. It's like, you countering this? Countering this? How about this?
It's sort of the Paul Rietzel School of Limited says that on every turn, look at your hand, find your largest casting cost creature, cast that creature. Can't go wrong, right? You use your mana efficiently, you put big threats on the board. Austin is doing that now. He's forcing Michael to have ways to respond, and he just doesn't right now. These creatures just, that 4/4 is just too big.
Yep. Knight of Malice, and the 4/4 will stay as a 4/4 while there's only 1 creature to block it.
Here we go. We did see, so Austin did actually have a 5th land last turn. He drew a 6th land this turn. He'll get to deploy that Cloud Reader Sphinx, go to the air now as well.
Syncopate for 1. That would be huge right now. But no sign of that, and then...
And they do, I believe they do have deck lists, right? So Austin knows that Michael only has 1 copy that's Syncopate, so he's not going to try to play around it too much.
No, I don't think they do.
Oh, they don't?
No. We just, because we only had 2 drafters on camera, and they were playing each other, and one of them was Michael Burnett. We actually had Michael and his first round opponent, Steve Rubin. They exchanged pools, but everyone else was just no information.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. So no perfect information here.
So maybe that is why he's sort of, he doesn't know. He saw Syncopate game 1. He's not sure how many copies there are. He's a little more hesitant because of that. We do see he has Gitu Chronicler in his hand. One of the critical cards in these blue-red decks is recurring these spells, but so far, no spells to be seen. Austin, hoping to draw a Sheevan Fire here. And Michael does have all 3 colors of mana. Facing down a lot of pressure now from Austin. He needs to have something here on the board that will slow down this offensive. Haven't gotten a good peek at his hand yet, though, so it's hard to know exactly what he could deploy. Could be an Arvad here with 5 mana. Oh, looks like it's a Blessed Light. Okay, so he's just taking out the flyer. He thinks he can find another way to deal with the Cyclops on a future turn. Willing to take another hit for 4 here, but then we'll be able to stabilize the ground, hopefully. And just a Mountain for Austin. He's flooding a little bit here. Really wanted to draw a spell there, but Michael down to 9. He does have it looks like a Keldon Raider here to loot away one of his, or rummage away one of his mountains, looking for some more action. Finds a spell. She finds a blink of an eye, which is going to be huge here next turn. He has so much power in play. It's going to be really hard for Michael to stabilize this board now, especially in the face of that bounce spell with a Gitu Chronicler to back it up and get it back a second time.
Yeah, one of the keys to tempo is be on the board first. I mean, it was almost literally that in the first and second game. It's like, wasn't there first, so all the bounce spells were just trying to claw back parity. Game 2, got on the board first, and now everything he's doing is keeping him ahead. Windgrace Acolyte, though, that's not bad for Michael Burnett. He'll gain 3 life. Little self-mill, 3 spells go there. Skittering Surveyor among them.
Yeah, and so that's actually fantastic here for him, because that 3/2 can trade with the 4/3.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but Austin doesn't really want to bounce it because he'll just gain 3 more life when it comes back down. So it actually is a really strong. Ooh, but he drew Syncopate. Interesting. Will he kick? He chooses to kick. And he's going to bounce the first strike creature. So now that 3-2 can get through, Michael's going to be taking 7 here. When he trades with the 4-3, instantly blocks there. Has to.
Smash. But still 7. And again, that Rampaging Brute, 4-4, that stays as a 4-4 probably because Michael's unlikely to be able to get 2 creatures down. That's sort of basically chump mode. That's 80% of his life right there. And there's still Pizza Girl from turn 3.
Yeah, Michael's back is to the wall here. 4-4, it's a big creature. When you're not going to get 2 things into play to be able to double block and shrink it. How do you catch back up here without removal for the 4-4? If you play removal, any removal that kills a 4-4 in this format, with the exception probably of Cast Down, isn't going to do it at a mana efficient rate. So it's going to take his turn to do it, meaning he's just going to fall further behind and take that 3-2 from the Journey Mage hit.
Oh my word, this is a great quote in chat. Martell in the booth after Stark leaves. Are we getting a Lannister next round?
Winter is no longer coming.
That is good. Well done, Gireffi. Yeah, very nice.
Fun fact on that point, harkening back to Game of Thrones, I was 0-6 against Ben the first 6 times we played, all 6 times in winter.
Huh.
How Stark applies even in Magic. All right, so Michael did get two creatures out, trying to stabilize. You see him here, hands on his head. He needs to hold this turn, right? And he's tapped out. He has no choices. He is just hoping that Austin does not have a way to break through on this critical turn. Ooh, a second copy of Blink. Oh, that's going to...
That just about take care of business?
Put him down to 1.
4-4 in... yeah, I mean...
And now Austin has an interesting decision here post-combat. So Michael's going to go to 1 here. I can't imagine he's going to chump. What's his plan to win if he chumps here? Austin has a Chronicler in his hand. He could just play it as a 1-3, giving himself 3 lethal creatures, or he can leave up Syncopate and hope to, if he draws land next turn, recur that Blink of an Eye and cast that. Because he has the Syncopate, it seems much, much stronger to just pass the turn back here and not deploy that extra threat. Because Michael's just going to, he needs to find multiple answers, and it's going to require a lot of mana. So that Syncopate's going to counter something, or Michael's just going to lose outright here. Yeah, he just redeploys the same creature. Oh, and then Austin does draw the land, turning on the Gitu Chronicler for the Blink if he wants to make that play. He also could just take this game slow, though. There's no need to try to win the game this turn. He could just deploy that 4-5, put another big, in this case, hexproof threat on the battlefield that Michael has to try to answer. I like that more patient line, I think, here. But they both seem pretty appealing. But it looks like he's just going to go for it now. Because here, even if it goes... it could go pretty badly for him here, actually, now, right? Because if he bounces one of the creatures and sends in the other 2, say Michael has a Blessed Light in hand, right? He's going to take out the Cyclops and just eat the Journey Mage. Oh, interesting. Austin just said go. Okay, so he brought back the Blink of an Eye and just passed the turn back. So he's going to try to get more value now out of this Blink of an Eye when he can kick it next turn, so he'll get to draw a card as well. Although with his mana situation, and having the 6 mana threat in his hand, he's sort of bottlenecking himself on mana with this play, which could get him in trouble if Michael's able to kind of stabilize here and deploy more threats.
Feel like Bernat's doing everything he can to struggle on here.
He kind of is stabilized right here. Now, I'm sure Austin has a number of draws that win the game. Obviously, another copy of... actually, no, he just bounces Gitu Journey Mage himself. He doesn't even need another copy. He can just Blink of an Eye the Gitu Journey Mage, replay it, and just deal 2, as long as Michael can't remove one of the wizards from play.
Right.
The other wizard. Excuse me, there's only one other in play.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually just has a kill on the board right now if he wants to go for it. But again, he can just be patient. He can just play another threat and just leave that looming over Michael. But now that we have a Wrath in play, he might be a little concerned, right? If Michael has Arvad in hand and just flashes that in end of turn, all of a sudden he's going to get out of range of that Gitu Journey Mage really quickly.
Big moments for Austin Mary here, who doesn't have a lot of wiggle room because he's 1-0 down. Michael Bernat, sure, if he loses this game, that's not good news, but he gets to play a game 3 regardless.
And here we see Austin taking the more kind of conservative route, not trying to win right away, waiting to draw another wizard most likely, so he has backup for the Journey Mage.
Right.
Because obviously the Journey Mage trigger will end the game. And yeah, just leave him Syncopate for 2. Can't counter Arvad. If Michael has it, it will resolve. Ooh, Eldest Reborn.
The Eldest Reborn, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And that's going to make him discard on the neck. Man, that card at instant speed is really gross. And now it's interesting. Because Austin has the
Blink.
bounce spell, he can't sack a wizard. Oh, okay, well, maybe he thinks he can sack a wizard. Or it's possible he's not considering that line. He's just looking for a way to break through in combat by attacking. And maybe he missed that he could because Blink of an Eye is any permanent, right? It's not just your opponents, I believe. But it's also possible that my memory is failing me here.
It is quite late in the evening also.
And he does go ahead and discard the Syncopate. That makes total sense.
Yep, non-land permanent to its owner's hand.
Right, so yeah, my guess is given how quickly he sacked the Chronicler, he wasn't thinking of that as a win condition. Also, the fact that both players know that the Blink of an Eye is in his hand is interesting, right? He picked it back up with the Chronicler. Michael knows about it. But now we're threatening his Eldest Reborn ultimate, basically, right? The Saga's going to hit Tier 3. The 3rd chapter will be red. And we're getting a reanimation of a Windgrave's Acolyte, gaining him 3 life. This game is slipping away from Austin really quickly. He needs to draw a wizard and find the line. So we see here Academy Drake is the draw. Not going to really influence the board. You know, that Windgrave's Acolyte's going to come back down, getting Michael to 4. Critical life point total there, getting out of range of a second copy of Journey Mage. I don't know if Austin can stabilize this one now. Like, he's just on the back foot.
Well, they give you 20 life for a reason, as we call it 19 bonus life.
Yeah, Michael navigated this really, really well. He had a couple really hard turns in the middle of this where he was just completely getting tempoed by Austin, and he just held the line.
But the trouble is, against tempo, it only takes that one reversal of a turn, essentially. One tempo play when you're at 1, and there's no more room to recover.
Looking to line up these cards. Right, he's going for it here. So he's gonna cast his Blink of an Eye. He basically, this is his last chance. Right? He sees the writing on the wall. He knows that this Windgrave's Acolyte is coming back into play next turn. He can't beat any historic creature or any interactive spell. And there's an interactive spell. There's the Vicious Offering. So had he gone for it on the previous turn, if that Vicious Offering was already in Michael's hand, he would have been blown out and lost. So he did not actually have a way to win this game into that removal spell. And now, he bounced the Sphinx. It's going to scry 2 and it comes back down. Michael's going to gain 3 life here. And this feels like a desperation. I guess this is going to force Raph to chump. Or yeah, which is actually so that's gaining something here for Austin. He's probably hoping that Michael just returns the Raph with that Eldest Reborn, but I can't imagine Michael's not gaining that 3 life.
Right. Well, quite apart from anything else, we're at the point where 3, 5, 7, 9 land on Austin Mary's side. You have to assume, if you're Michael, that any blue-red drafter's got a fight with fire in their deck.
Sure. No, I mean, it's the premier card for this archetype, for any red archetype. It's something you're definitely thinking about.
Right.
But at this point, Michael's never getting back above 10, right? That's just so far away
Oh, sure.
that you just need to play to try to end the game as quickly as you can and not lose to other random incidental cards, right? Like maybe you're thinking in the back of your mind, oh man, Keldon Overseer, right? That's a card that I'm often afraid of losing to in these spots. But if you're Michael, wow. Okay, Michael is staying at 1. He decides he needs a land. What is he holding? So he needs to get to 8
3,
mana.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
He wants to get to 8 mana because we can figure this out. We are Rona. He's going to Rona back the Eldritch Reborn and replay Eldritch Reborn this turn. That's my prediction.
Okay.
That's my
drum roll for that. Let's see what happens.
My
5, 6, 7. There's land number 8, the one he went to get. 1, 2, 3. Rona. Get back the Eldritch Reborn. It's like you've played this game before.
You know, still play a little bit. Still play a little bit. So yeah, so this is a dangerous line in so much just as it leaves Michael at 1, but it ends the game much, much faster, right? That 4/5 was a problem. Michael's going to be forced to chump it or trade off multiple cards for it. Now he can just try to end the game by attacking every turn with all of his creatures.
Mountain there for Austin. He gets a 4/4 flyer, 7 mana for the Academy Drake kicked.
Which would be great if it wasn't for this Cloud Reader Sphinx that we know was bounced to Michael's hand that's going to pick up a short sword.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't seen a lot of Sphinxes that wield swords, but they're pretty scary when they do.
That legendary short sword, by the way, one of only 47 million ever made that year.
Oh, interesting. Going for Urgoros instead.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong about the Cloud Reader Sphinx? No. I must be. He's not holding one. So I'm just making this up.
Got
there is no Cloud Reader
up
Sphinx.
there?
No, because I thought Michael had one, and that was what I thought got bounced.
Okay.
But clearly I am... Oh, no, he sacked to the Vicious Offering. He sacked it to the Vicious Offering.
Yeah, sacked to Offering, no Sphinx.
Yep.
Thanks,
okay.
chat. Appreciate it.
That's interesting. So Austin drew another Keldon Raider, which would
4/3.
normally be great because when you've drawn 11 lands, you want to loot them away. But unfortunately, this Eldritch Reborn took the extra land out of his hand last turn. He's empty-handed, does not get to dig deeper, looking for the lethal wizards that he needs. He needs to find another Chronicler, ideally into the other copy of Journey Mage. I think that's really Austin's out for this game. But Michael likely going to bring back now the Windgrace Acolyte and gain the 3 life. Austin decides to not play the Raider at all. Okay.
So chapter 3.
It turns out, when you read this book for the second time, it's just as good as the first.
Yeah. Windgrace Acolyte. Here's that 3 points of life gain. There we are. Back up to 4. Easter Glider goes away. Swamp goes away. Memorial goes away.
None of those cards are very important in this board state, right? For the way that this is going to be. Now the sword's going to move. Oh, wait, no, it's just probably just attack with the Spectre here, right, and force the trade.
If he goes on to win this, if you go back and listen carefully, you'll hear the screeching of the brakes carefully being applied as Michael fell to 1 life.
Really impressive hold here from Michael. I was ready to call it. I thought this one was going to get put away, and Austin did draw an extra land or 2 than he'd hoped. He really would like the one more critical spell, but Michael navigated that so well, and really walked the tightrope there to stay in this game. And he had all his bases covered. That removal spell was also was huge there. And here we go. We see the Acolyte getting the sword, so it can hold back on D. And playing it safe.
Yeah, because if you attack with 1 and then there's a tempo spell,
right,
then that's the end, and the 4/4 Academy Drake gets
absolutely play it
through.
safe here.
Yeah.
Austin drew. Wait, was that that looked like a Firefist Adept, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Which is almost a fantastic. Oh no, it only has no other wizards, so it actually does not do very much. Michael just really wants to draw any white permanent, actually. If he draws any white permanent, it's going to trigger his Knight of Malice, turn that thing into a 3/2 for a striker, so he can actually attack with the sword equipped to it through that 4/4.
Yep.
And lets him get a clock, because that's what Michael's most concerned with right now, is finding a way to put a clock on Austin so this game doesn't go 10 more turns and gives Austin time to find a card like Fight with Fire.
Right.
If I'm Michael, that's what I'm laser focused on right here.
Now, to be fair, because we have the deck list, I'm looking at the red spells, and after
No spoilers.
after that one, the next one's that one.
Yeah, that's not, yeah. Yep, I noticed that as well.
Right? You're such a tease. I was going to help them out because they were going, has he got one? Has he got one? Has he got one? I'm like, we know.
But, let's get in Michael's head here, right? Fans at home are watching this, right? You've been in these spots. You've been in these games. You're playing in a PTQ. You're playing in an FNM, and you don't know if they have it, right? Like, what should you be trying to do? How do you balance playing for aggression to ending the game? And that's what you have to be trying to think about with imperfect information, and that's what Michael's doing right now. And Arvad is actually just a huge, huge draw here because I mentioned earlier he's not getting above 10 life.
Well,
Arvad may disagree with me.
Maybe not. Yeah. I'm looking through to see where Austin finds his. Ooh.
This is the first half. This is the first thing he needed, which was he needed to find a wizard to get things going. Picks up a spell. I think the only spell he has right now is Blink of an Eye, but Blink of an Eye is going to make it so that Michael stays at 4 for a little bit longer. You can keep that Arvad off the board. Buy yourself, again, more time to try to develop into something to pull an advantage out here. And that is Fire Fist Adept as the other card, which will now do 2 that the Chronicler's in play. You have to assume, if you're Austin, that Michael's going to move that sword over onto Arvad and attack for 4 next turn. Right, get that lifelink going. And so his choices will be to either bounce it or trade with the Raider. And if I'm Austin, I'm worried that if Michael gets to 8, I'm just not going to get that much damage in. He just has so much card advantage now with the Rona going.
Mesa Unicorn,
Mesa
more
Unicorn.
lifelink.
Yep, that's going to get cast this turn as well. So you think Michael is, 2 turns away from stabilizing, 3 turns away from stabilizing, even through a card like Fight with Fire. This is Austin's window, and it is closing really quickly.
Yeah.
I assume here we're going to see the Arvad just get bounced. And Michael's deciding what else to attack with. I think we could see him move the sword over. Although he knows Austin has that bounce spell, right? Austin picked it up with the Chronicler. It's public information. Maybe he doesn't want to lose the tempo that it would entail with moving the sword over and sending Arvad. But I think he's at the force Austin's hand. You don't want to let him keep that bounce spell going with his 4/4 flyer and draw a second one, bounce both your flyers, then kill you. That's what I'm afraid of if I'm Michael.
Short sword.
Okay, or we can go another direction. Interesting. What is Michael thinking here? What's his last card? Okay.
So a bit of bonus flyer action. Not that it does a huge amount, and then equip and then re-equip. Okay. Onto the Wind Grace.
Okay. Just kidding. Just kidding with that move. So wait. Okay, this is Austin's moment. If Austin draws another bounce spell, he wins, right? Because he can. That's what I'm missing. Something. He bounces both flyers, and then hits for 4 in the air. So
that Academy Drake's just been sitting there as a lethal threat forever and ever.
So Michael can chump attack the Arvad in here to get out of range of that flyer, which or he can move the sword again onto the Arvad. But I think if he doesn't attack with Arvad this turn with the sword on it,
then there's a window.
It's a potential disastrous mistake for him. Now, Austin doesn't have a lot of outs on that spot. End of turn, we're going to see him, I think, bounce one of the flyers. He should bounce the Urgaros here, draw his card. Michael did not force his hand to make him interact with the lifelinker here, and I think he needs to capitalize on that window. He could also draw any other wizard action in his deck. If he bounces Urgaros here, any wizard is lethal with the Adept. But I think this is his last chance. I think you don't feel great about it if you're in his shoes, but you need to pull the trigger here. You're not going to get another turn.
Right, but you surely feel at least good that it's not just you're casting Blink of an Eye. You're casting Blink of an Eye with Kicker. You're
Right.
getting a card back. So it's 2 draw steps to... It's not 2 draw steps, 2 draws to find what you want.
Any wizard. Oh, he chooses to untap. Now the wizards won't be an out. Now it has to be another tempo spell.
Ooh.
2-headed giant, so that would not have done it.
No. But what was the next card?
Yeah, and if you think, again, if you're Austin here, I don't know what the plan is, right? If you don't win this turn, there's just so much life linking on Michael's side, and he just so many creatures in play. Rona's generating more card advantage. You're not going to catch up at this point in cards as Austin. That I think that was probably the best shot. And if that top card is a wizard, he had this game.
There is one very saucy card in Austin Mary's deck that we haven't seen yet. And
That is true.
And that card has changed quite a lot of Dominaria Limited games in the history of the format. Let's just say that.
And it's another card that would have rewarded that tempo play. I guess that one he could draw, getting a second draw step to it, right? Any way to remove that second flyer from play would have been lethal.
Mm-hmm.
And this, for those who are wondering what this might be, one of the swingiest cards in the format out of Austin's deck. It's a copy actually of Embolus's Clutches, which he could. Ooh, wow. Okay, Michael now bouncing the flyer, and that should be all she wrote. Because now Austin doesn't have that pressure valve.
Yep.
There's no way to retaliate now when Michael starts getting aggressive. There's so many life linkers as well over on this board. And now some are becoming unblockable because here's a Tetsuko.
Yeah.
I just want to comment on Michael's historic deck has an unbelievable number of historic cards and so many legends. I am so impressed.
Right. I mean, obviously, he's gone 3 color, which, that helps. And the mana base was Eek. It was 7/5/3 plus 2. So 7/5/5.
With 2 skittering, right?
Sure,
So it's more like it's
sure.
like 9/7/7. That's a great mana base. I'll sign up for that mana base.
Okay.
Here we go. Now, just a funny thing to note, Tetsuko does not affect itself anymore. You can block it because it is bigger from Arvad. Important to remember that. That card is rarely blocked in this format.
Yeah.
The only time I've seen it blocked is when the opponent has pumped it in combat with something like a Fervent Strike. But here we see Michael getting aggressive, has the random discard chance here too. Although I think we're going to see the Urgoros get bounced. And we'll just keep in mind, so if Austin's top card was a wizard or a way to remove a creature from play.
So Blink gets rid of Urgoros.
It was a wizard. He had it. Oh. That was a tough line to see.
Reach out over there.
I do like this from Michael, just chump attacking the lifelinker in to gain some life.
Mm-hmm.
I really, like I said, I wanted it to happen last turn with the Arvad. I thought it was just forcing the hand, but this turn, fantastic decision there to just... He's so far ahead on cards, he does not need to preserve a random 2/2 in play. You will throw a card away for 2 life at this point in the game. Easy. Any card on the board, basically, he would rip up and gain some life for.
So suddenly,
Well,
Austin's down to 11.
There's the Clutches.
That was the card we were thinking about.
Maybe it's not over yet.
In Bolus's Clutches.
So the Journey Mage in his hand will deal 2. So Michael is really at 4. There's no way to get this 2-headed giant through. There's just too many blockers, right? Michael just has 6 creatures sitting back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not going to help.
Do you think we're likely to see 10 creatures on one side of the board in the beta draft finals?
I'm not sure they have 10 creatures in their decks between them
in
the beta draft finals. I guess it depends on who ends up making it, right? Because Martin's deck did have a lot of guys that looked like they were all 1/1. They may not have had 10 total power in his deck, but Martin had a lot of creatures in his deck. So I think if he's there, we have a shot. Austin trying to find a way to get back in this, but it's The takeaway here really is figuring out kind of when your back's to the wall, and
seeing the window closing.
yeah, and taking risky plays. It feels bad there to bounce that flyer for no gain, right? Like but it just slips away. Now here, if he steals the Arvad, takes the lifelinker, gets his own. Maybe he can make something happen with that. Or you could just kill the Arvad, actually. He has 3 wizards now. That could also do it. But I think we need to get Arvad off the side of the board for Michael Bernat right now.
2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 10 creatures. That's what we made it. It's a lot.
It is. One downside to removing Arvad is it makes some more unblockables. But, okay, interesting. Going for the 4/4 flyer instead. Which... again, makes sense. You need to have a pressure source that could win the game for you, which I think, oh, geez. Well, so much for that. But the problem would be, Michael moving the sword on and just sending the Arvad in is going to get him out of range again. And so I think Austin might be just mis-sequencing the way he's trying to resolve, to alleviate the pressure Michael's putting him under. The lifelink threat right now is the bigger threat.
One of the things I love about working with different commentators is they see the game differently. And I'm not talking about specific cards and how they interact or lines, but in a sense, linguistically, the thing I've noticed just in this game is you're looking at a balance of pressure. Pressure is the word you keep using, and it's all about this works, but it doesn't apply pressure, or this applies a little bit of pressure, but now it's been negated, and you're always looking for that pressure point. And I know that's a magic card, and I'm not making a pun. But no, I'm not. Stop it. I'm not. I'm being deadly serious. You look at games and go, where is the weak spot that will let me apply the pressure that puts them to the test over and over? That's what you're looking for, and that's so fascinating to hear you. Because that's what you do every time you sit down and play Magic. I know we're getting inside Tom Martell plays Magic, which is fantastic.
So I think it's certainly what I did before when I was much more in tune. It's
right.
Easier for me now in the booth to see it in the same way that I would see these games. But I have a chess background.
Yeah.
Like a number of Magic players do. And so for me, it's looking at this defensive structure Michael set up was hinging on these flyers, right? And so that was the breaking point, and then it was the lifelink put him out of range, so that was the breaking point. But I think it's a framework to try to understand, like, these complex board states with so much going on, how do you make sense of them? Now here what we're seeing, Austin might just die, right? And we're so focused on Michael's life total. I wasn't really paying attention to the fact that, hey, he's actually chipping away with a lot of damage, and he has a bunch of unblockable creatures.
Yep. It's
that
8 plays 4.
Yeah, and now he has four unblockable power, right? 2 different one power creatures and one toughness creature, and now the Tetsuko is also unblockable again itself.
Another land from Austin.
But
Are
here,
we about to crown a Grand Prix champion?
So let's see. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6 power in the air. And I don't think that Austin can both kill the Tetsuko and also answer the flyers. And so one of those two is going to give, right? Because we still know he still has that Fire Fist Adept in his hand. He's not found a chance to deploy. And he has the Embolus's Clutches. Oh, he does have a hit, but he has 11 mana. He can play both. So I think he will probably be able to survive a turn here.
Yeah, but we don't give prizes for survival.
We don't. He may be looking here to see, can he steal the game by taking that Tetsuko and giving himself some unblockables? That's like an interesting angle he can try to play for here. I don't see a way that will turn into an out to win this game. It's just the ground is so gummed up with all these creatures.
He's 9 to 3 creatures down.
He can take 2 out. So if he takes 2 out, no, but 8 life now. 8 life again.
9 to 5.
The lifelinking being that kind of the backbreaker for him. Because now even if he removes 2 blockers and gets, let's say, lucky with the 2-headed giant flip, which I don't even know which one would be, it's just never dealing any damage. Okay, so something's going to die. I suspect it will be Windgrave's Acolyte. And then I think Tetsuko will get stolen. Okay. Oh.
He's trying to find a way.
There's so many threats and just not enough defensive resources here for Austin. Oh, man.
That'll be there, that'll be there. You'll do.
Okay. I think that is his best shot. And now we're going to take the Tetsuko and attack for 1 with the Chronicler. I think is probably safe. I haven't done the exact math on number of attackers, but actually, it might not be safe. 1,
well,
2,
so we've got
3,
5
4.
creatures on the left.
Oh, it is
6 creatures on the right.
Right. Okay, it doesn't get into for the 1. I don't think that will matter. I'm not convinced he could.
So away goes the planes. Rona continuing to just be amazingly good.
But man, these games hang on such little decisions.
Right.
You know, like that one turn earlier, not going for the win, right? Not bouncing the Journey Mage, walking into that removal spell and getting blown out. You know, Austin navigated that really cleanly. And then just having that knife's edge, that one turn where that 4/4 flyer, where Michael didn't choose to gain the life, and now it might just be out of hand.
Yeah, as some people in chat are pointing out, these people, they started playing at 9 o'clock yesterday morning. They finished at 10 o'clock last night. That was a 13-hour day 1. Then they came back at 8:30 this morning to gear up for the first draft of the day. And now, 15 hours later, they're trying to win the final. But Austin is at 1. And now here we go. Austin untaps. He's at 1. Burnett with a huge board. That is not enough. And Michael Burnett is the champion of Grand Prix Las Vegas 2018. Congratulations to him. He joins Matt Nass as a champion. There's Brandon Burton in the background. Let's bring it straight back to the booth. We are going to pile on. We're going to crack on with the story of this GP. Congratulations to Michael Burnett. We'll get him into the booth later this evening when he's had a chance to just calm down from his win in a few minutes. But what we are going to do, because I know you've been waiting anxiously for it, is beta draft action. So here's what happened. Tim Rivera was up against John Holiday in one semi-final. It's done. We'll tell you about that in a minute. Luis Scott Vargas was up against Martin User. We recorded every turn of that match. We are going to see that right now, and then we'll show you the final in full live. The last game of Magic, literally anywhere in the Las Vegas Convention Center. Tom Martell, Martin User, and Luis Scott Vargas. Here we go. Let's see what goes on here.
You know, Martin off to the fast start. His deck does have a lot of 1-drops. I think he was trying to be aggressive and take advantage. Oh, boy.
Orcish Artillery, one of the first cards anyone explained to me was fantastically good as you hurt yourself regularly.
And it's so good against Martin's creature deck. You know, if Martin doesn't have an answer for this, it's just every creature in his deck, I think, dies to this, or almost all of them. By far, Luis's best card in this matchup, I have to imagine. And there we see Martin attacks with the 1/1 and he doesn't block with the 1/3. And so I think there he's respecting the threat of Hal from Beyond out of Martin. Doesn't want to lose his artillery. He knows he's going to take over the game.
What a beautiful Navineral's disc. Navineral, of course, Larry Niven, backwards science fiction writer. One of the first Wrath effects I fell in love with for sure. Stunning card. Beautiful to see that opened earlier.
Luis is definitely happy to have that one in his card pool. And already we can see Martin here thinking, trying to find some way to stabilize or get some pressure on through that card that's going to kill all of his creatures. And it's a struggle. All right, Hurlough Minotaur, a 2/3.
Mightily powerful and incredibly tough.
Definitely what we need. It's what the doctor orders when there's an Orcish Artillery sitting on the battlefield waiting to start mowing things down. Martin will probably... This is one of those spots where you don't have any good decision, any good options as Martin, right? So if you attack and Luis blocks, you use your trick, he blows up the disc. Or he shoots with the artillery. You're getting 2 for 1 no matter what here. Right. Martin's best case scenario here is he gets 2 for 1. But what else is he going to do? Right. That 1-3 is just going to completely dominate this game. He has to just kind of accept it and just, chalk up the loss of the card.
Quick quiz for you.
Yep.
How many land do you think Martin's running in his 40-card deck? His aggressive red-white, bit of black beat-down deck.
I would guess 20, maybe 21.
Good try. Not enough.
Ooh.
23.
That is a lot of lands.
23 land, 17 spells.
And of those spells, how many of them cost 1 mana?
Oh,
My guess is 9, 10.
So,
Yeah.
So Goblin Balloon Brigade with fire breathing. I'm 2 for 2. And Drudge, is that Drudge Skeletons?
Drudge Skeletons.
Yep.
And then
The
Luis
mighty
with
regenerating.
the original Grizzly Bear has pioneered the naming of every 2/2 for 2 since then for the last 25 years.
Yeah, in case you're wondering, that is an actual Grizzly Bear. Fantastic.
Ooh, and a Wanderlust.
A what now?
A Wanderlust. So Wanderlust, it will deal 1 damage to that creature every turn unless it attacks, I think. But it might just be no matter what. It's just if it attacks. Yeah, so putting that on the Drudge Skeletons. Oh, and here we see the main deck Copper Red. So, again,
Circle of Protection Red, one of my favorite cards of all time.
you might think to yourself, why is there a color hoser in the main deck of a player in a draft?
Do you know what I'm thinking to myself, Tom Martell?
What do you think to yourself?
I'm thinking, why is there a color hoser in the main deck of a player in a draft?
That's a great question to
Thanks.
ask. So, when you're choosing between, so imagine you're Martin Juza, and you're sitting here, man, I have these 23 lands in my deck. Do you think Martin would change one of his lands into really any card that did anything? Because that card right there, that Circle of Protection Red, does a lot some of the time. Ooh, and the Powerhouse Dwarven Warriors, which I believe is a 1/2 for 3 that can tap to pump something, maybe give it +1/+2, or did it make it unblockable?
Listen, if you had a beard like that, would you care what your stats were? Really? Wall of Brambles.
And what we're seeing here, one of the dominant effects, one, when you play 23 lands, you draw a lot of them. So that's one takeaway from Martin's side of the board.
That is fair.
From Luis's side of the board, we're seeing this is the peak of walls. Some people think,
The peak
later,
of walls.
when we
Wall
got
of
Rise
Denial. Big fan. Wrote the flavor text.
Really, that's a good one. But you think about like Raz of Eldrazi, when you have these, the walls that deal damage and the wall theme. Let me tell you, Alpha, Beta, it is about the walls.
Yeah.
They dominate combat. And here we're seeing this Wall of Brambles shutting down Martin's board because the red creatures can't deal damage to him. That the Copper Red protects him from that. The Wall of Brambles will block and regenerate from any other creature. What is Martin supposed to do? How is Martin supposed to deal damage here?
So, Tom, I've got a question for you.
Yep.
Are you around for the final? You fancy doing the finals of this?
Sure.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to send you away for a minute.
Okay.
Off the booth, and I'm going to bring in the winner of the Grand Prix, because I need to chat to Michael Burnett.
Absolutely.
So you head off, and let's bring Michael Burnett up here. And we'll have a quick chat while we're watching this. Here we go with Michael Burnett. That is 1-0 to Luis Scott Vargas. Michael Burnett is going to join me here. And here is game number 2. So we're going to put a headset on the champion here. And Michael Burnett, how are you? Silly question.
Yeah, pretty good, but
Pretty good?
Yeah.
Only pretty good?
It's late. I can't believe how bad I played on the last turn.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was bad.
That is still arguably the best way to go about things, because generally when people play badly, they get punished and then they
I
lose.
know,
and
right?
you waited until the last turn, literally, of the
I
GP
know.
to be that bad.
No, well, that's not
Seriously,
good.
congratulations, my
Thank
friend. What
you.
a wonderful achievement. Tell us about what you've been doing with Magic. What's your Magic story? When did you start? Because I think I know the answer to this, sort of.
I started playing in high school, so what was that, like 24 years ago?
Yeah, so
When
here we are
I
on the...
started playing when I was 16.
Right, so 25th anniversary, and you've
Yeah.
been playing for almost all of it.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. Couple of Grand Prix top 8s, right? And then this
Yeah,
is
a
the
couple.
third one?
Yeah.
And first trophy?
First trophy, yeah.
So, where were you overnight? Because obviously we were focusing on the Modern on Saturday, so we didn't sort of really check in until we got a chance to take a look at the overnight standings. How was your day one? What was the sealed like?
Sure, my day one was 8-1.
Uh-huh.
It was a absolutely ridiculous black-white deck. Like, it was like if I got anything less than 8-1, it would have been kind of
So
disappointing.
you kind of knew that before you started, before you played a card in anger, you were like, this is a deck that needs to be in day 2 easily.
It was completely bonkers.
Highlights?
Um,
If you can remember that long ago.
yeah, it had Karn. It had the 4/4 Vigilance that makes knights. It
Oh,
had-
yeah, okay.
I mean,
That's pretty
you can see where we're
naughty.
going
Aerial.
with this, like,
Yeah, I can. Yes, where you're
that's just
going
the
is
tip of the iceberg.
to 8-1.
Yeah.
And then today you come back and draft big names at your pod. Did you look around and think, this seems pretty reasonable? Or did you think, crikey?
Yeah, played against some tough players.
Okay.
For sure. So
Uh-huh. Did you have a definite plan of the archetypes that you like in draft particularly?
no, not really. I just kind of try
Very
to go
open?
with the flow. Try to take whatever is passed and
Mm-hmm.
see
And
if you.
we were talking during the final because it was pretty obvious. You came in and the first thing you said was, I'm really tired. It was obvious that it was super tiring. Luis Scott Vargas, by the way, has defeated Martin User while we're talking there. So Luis Scott Vargas advances to the final, which is just a couple of minutes away. But we've already awarded another trophy here. So now Pro Tour once again. Great
Yeah,
stuff.
this actually, I needed 3 points this weekend to get silver, so this qualifies me for a few.
Ah, well, that is fantastic stuff. Listen,
Yeah.
congratulations on an amazing weekend. The champion of Grand Prix Las Vegas 2018 is Michael Burnett. So great job to you. We are going to take a very short break, and when we come back, Tim Rivera and Luis Scott Vargas are going to battle for an Alpha starter set and $2,500 in cash in the final of the beta draft. Don't you go anywhere.